Right Honourable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, right, His Lordship Deputy Chief Justice, Right Honourable Prime Minister, all the other leaders, ministers, members of Parliament, cultural and religious leaders, members of the diplomatic corps, the wananchi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In fulfillment of the constitutional requirement under Article 101, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I am here to deliver the State of the Nation Address 2024. On this occasion of the State of the Nation Address, I would like to remind the Ugandans of the three historical missions, the four principles of the NRM, and therefore determine what distance has been covered in prosecuting those goals and what remains to be done, and what is the main obstacle on that transformational road. Our movement came on the scene initially as a student movement, getting elements from the old political parties of UPC, DP, and Kaweka Yeka that had sectarian platforms, misusing the politics of identity, religious, tribal, and gender chauvinism. After careful analysis, we established that Africa needed us to pursue three historical missions. If Africa was to survive and thrive, that's how we looked at it. We looked at it as a matter of survival. If Africa is to survive, we thought it had to do the following. The three historical missions are prosperity for the African people, including the people of Uganda. Are the people of Africa entitled to prosperity or not? Secondly, strategic security for the African people. Do the African people need to be secure from all threats, from wherever? And taking advantage of the brotherhood of the African people to achieve the first two missions. These Africans you are talking about, do you know that they are either similar people or they are linked? How was the prosperity of the African people to be achieved? Could it be achieved through begging for foreign aid, as some were emphasizing? Could foreign aid give us the prosperity we are talking about? The answer, according to us, was no. Our conclusion was that prosperity could only come from each adult person engaging in producing a good or a service sustainably and selling it. That's where prosperity comes from. Each adult person must produce a good or a service and sell it. If he or she does so with a chibaro is our local language meaning maximizing profit, making sure that what you are doing will give you what you want, he or she will be prosperous. Since individuals cannot effectively work alone, the different zones of the country are always encouraged to specialize in given clusters of products or services. It is this realization that led us to distill our first NRM principle, patriotism, love Uganda. Why love Uganda? It is because you need it for your prosperity in the form of the market. Whether you like other Ugandans or you don't like them, but you need them for your prosperity, because they need to buy what you produce so that you are able to be prosperous. When you produce a good or a service, the next question is, who will buy the good or service and in sufficient quantities to guarantee the prosperity of the wealth creator? One of the factors we realized was that normally people of the same tribe or the same locality produce similar products. Hence, they do not easily buy from one another. It is the people from other parts of the country that produce different products that buy the wealth creators' products. Therefore, the opportunists that promote sectarianism and parochialism are enemies of wealth creators, starting with their relatives. They are pseudo-prophets. Banabi abeb shuba. Banabi abobulimba. The Historical Mission of Prosperity pushed us to discover the second NRM ideological principle, that of Pan-Africanism. Love East Africa. Love Africa. Those who are the guests who are not from here, from East Africa, they had us playing two anthems, the anthems you had. One anthem is for Uganda, the other one is for East Africa. We insist on that in order for us to get out of poverty, we need Uganda, we need East Africa, we need Africa. Because if they buy what we produce, we are going to be prosperous. And if we also buy what they produce. Why? It is because you need them. You need East Africa, you need Africa for your prosperity, other issues aside. When wealth creators get serious with production, when they increase the production of goods and services, the internal market is no longer enough. When you see people talking of tribes and religions, it is because they are not serious. Because if you are a serious wealth creator, there is no way you can talk of a tribe or religion. Because you need the pockets of so many people to support your prosperity. When the wealth creators get serious with production, when they increase the production of goods and services, the internal market is no longer enough. We need the East African market, we need the African market, and we need the global market. Since the recovery of the economy of Uganda, we have seen this. It's not a theory, we have seen it. We saw it before, it was implemented, but we have now seen it in reality. Our production of sugar is now 600,000 metric tons. However, the internal market is only 380,000 metric tons. Who is to buy the surplus sugar of 220,000 metric tons? The milk production is now 5.3 billion liters. Who is to buy the extra 4.5 billion liters, since the internal demand is only 800 million liters? The cement production is now 6.4 million metric tons, and yet the internal demand is only 2.4 million tons. Who is buying the surplus? How about the steel products? The internal demand is 1.5 million metric tons, yet the annual production of steel products in Mitayimbwa, although still at 610,000 metric tons, leaving a deficit of 890,000 metric tons, it will soon be about 3 million metric tons with the new vertically integrated steel industries using the high-grade obutare. Obutare is our indigenous word for iron ore of Muko in the Rwanda area. So soon our production will be 3 million metric tons of steel, and yet the internal demand is 1.5 million. Who will buy the surplus steel? The products of the new vertically integrated factories will completely wipe out the need for importing high-quality steel for hydropower dams, the railway, high-rise buildings, etc., that need very strong steel, different from the steel of the recycled steel products from scrap metal. Because up to now, we have been using scrap metal, the old tanks of Idi Amin, to make steel. But now we are going to use our iron ore, our obutare, the best in the world. There is no other iron ore which is richer than this one, 70% pure. Even now, we also import steel ingots and add value. Some of this steel is re-exported to the region. The answer for all these questions is that it is mainly East and Central Africa that are buying the surplus. The commercial area is buying goods and services worth $2.157 billion from Uganda. Therefore, the NRM was right to distill the principles of patriotism and Pan-Africanism, and to oppose groups that were pushing for parochialism in Uganda and Eurocentrism globally. You know, when we were about to come into government, I went to Europe And the Europeans asked me, because our old political parties here, the Democratic Party was allied to the Christian Democratic Party of Germany. They were actually being supported by the Konrad Adenauer Foundation. The UPC was being supported by the Social Democrats. They have got their group. They are the ones who helped them to build the Uganda House, to start building the Uganda House. Then the government built it using government money. And when we came, some people wanted me to take back the building. I said, no, wachukue hii kitu. So these fellows expected us to side with the European parties, Social Democrats versus Christian Democrats. I said, sorry, I'm not part of that crowd.